Today, you'll learn how to harvest loquats and make this great crisp. Here at the loquat tree, I'm going to harvest some of these to make a loquat crisp. So how you can tell if they're ripe or not, they're very soft to the touch. This one's very soft. And the color too is a giveaway. They come off real easy when they're ripe. I just picked these. I have lots more inside. I keep them because you only get a few at a time. I keep them in the refrigerator until I have enough to make a dessert. I'm really excited to offer this new series. Each month I'm going to show you how I harvest something out of the garden and make it into a dessert. So now we're in the kitchen with the loquats. I had some stored in the refrigerator, and so now it is time to make the Loquat Crisp. The first thing I do is I wash these. I just put them in a colander. Oops, this one. Sometimes they will get rotten, but most of the time they'll last a couple of weeks. But this one's bad, so it'll have to go to the compost. Now comes the tedious part. What I'm going to do is cut this in half and remove the seeds inside and then trim the edges off. I'm going to leave the skin on for this recipe. So each one has at least one seed in it. So I discard the seed and I'll get this out and trim this off because I just don't want to have that end up in the crisp. Then they're ready to go in the colander. When I have it full, then I'll go ahead and wash them all off. Now I'm back after 40 minutes of cutting those loquats and cleaning them out. It did take a long time, so be sure you have set enough time before you start this recipe. Or you could also cut it in half, and I've done that before. That way you can just make a small batch of it. Right now, I've got the cut loquats in the skillet, and I am bringing them to a boil over medium, and then I'm going to cover it and simmer it for about 10 to 15 minutes. But first, I'm going to put some lemon juice on it. Be sure you stir them often. I do have a teeny bit of water that got in when I rinsed them off, so I normally just leave that in and then just let it boil down. If you want the full recipe, you can find it on my website in the description below. Now it's boiling, so I've reduced the heat and I'm going to cover it, but you still need to keep stirring it pretty often. You're ready for the next step when the juices appear and they're all released from the loquats. So next, we're going to mix up some cornstarch and some sugar. I just use a fork to mix it. Now you pour the mixture over the loquats, then just stir it in. So this is going to thicken up the sauce. Once we see that the sauce is really thickened up, then we're ready for the next step. This is what it looks like when it's ready. Almost all of the sauce is gone and it looks like a filling like it should be. So now we're ready to go on to the next step, which is making the crisp. So while the filling is complete, we want to make sure it cools off a little bit. So I just push it back to the end of the stove. While the loquat filling is cooling, now we're going to make the crisp. First I'm going to put flour and oats, brown sugar, salt, and some vanilla, and then a full stick of butter. So I just mix this up with my hands. Make sure the butter is cold. It doesn't need to be room temperature. Now that the crisp is done, this is what it looks like if you haven't ever made a apple crisp or anything like that. Then it's time to put the filling in a greased baking pan. And I've also preheated the oven to 350. Now I've put the filling in the baking dish. Next, I put the crisp on top. You just want to evenly spread it. I do have the full recipe on my website, so you can see the exact amount of the ingredients and everything else. Now it's time to put it in the oven. I'm using a toaster oven this time since this is not very big. And you just cook it for about 20 minutes, maybe more. When it's bubbly and a little brown on top, it'll be done. If you like this recipe, please click on subscribe. Each month, I'll show you another dessert made fresh from the garden.